I want to clear a couple of things up.
What's that?
First and foremost, I want to clear a couple, because people have been, beating me up on Twitter. What?
No. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
People have been beating me up on Twitter, saying, why am I throwing shade on CM Punk? And the thing is,
and what they're referring to is this. Ed, can you play that? Can you play that clip
no,
for us? I want to hear the clip.
Hey, no, don't play that. No, Ed, don't play that. Don't play it. No, I don't want to hear that. I don't want.
So the fans know what you're talking about.
I don't want to indulge in that.
Okay.
I don't want to indulge.
Never mind it.
Yeah, that's not where I'm trying to go here. Where I'm trying to go here is serious. I'm trying to be serious here. I'm not here to throw shade on CM Punk or anything like that. I like CM Punk as a person, first and foremost. People talk about, I had him here at Reality of Wrestling.
In the PWA days, yeah.
And I was one of the first supporters of CM Punk. When CM Punk, came up in the WWE, I was one of the guys who was having matches with CM Punk. I'm one of the guys who had to go out and put CM Punk over in certain matches and didn't mind doing it. That's
05, 06 era.
Yes, go back and look at your research, guys. Go back and look at it. Pull them up, pull the matches up. Booker T, CM Punk. I put this guy over.
And you didn't have a problem with it?
Heck no. I mean, because I saw a young kid coming up, a young kid on the rise. When CM Punk was doing it, I was like I say, one of his biggest supporters. When CM Punk was, got the big contract, boom, I was like, man, this guy's, moving to the next level. When CM Punk left the WWE, I was stunned because I was like, man, this guy's walking away from, like I said, I don't know the backstory or anything like that. I'm talking about from the outside looking in.
Just the money he was walking away from.
Well, the money he was walking, I mean, when you see a guy riding in one of those big buses, only certain guys have those buses. And those guys are making a lot of money, The
Cenas, the Ortons.
Yeah, man, those guys, and I mean, they pay to, ride like that. Mm-hmm. But those guys are making a lot of money. And CM Punk, he's one of those guys. And then to see him walk away from that to go in, to the UFC, to go and, have a real fight. And me personally, I know what the fight game is all about. I've been watching fighting my whole life. I've been a part of, combat, trying to make it through this life, myself, you know what I mean? So seeing what CM Punk was walking into, I thought it was something, he was getting way in over his head and walking away from something that perhaps he may never be able to walk back to. So when he did that, I was like, man, this is something. Can you imagine one day waking up and wanting to be an Olympic athlete, and you knew the president of, the commission, and he put you in a race, in the 100-yard dash, and you're going against, Carl Lewis and Ben Johnson and all the rest of them. Usain Bolt,
Jesse Owens, whoever the hell.
Exactly. Yeah. That's my point, guys. I'm saying this guy was putting himself in a position that perhaps he was in way over his head. Maybe someone should have told him that. So I'm not throwing shade on CM Punk or anything like that. I just think the decision that CM Punk made was a really, truly bad decision and a bad mistake for CM Punk's career, because this guy could have been one of the maybe he didn't want to be one of the all-time greats. I'm just saying he could have been one of the all-time greats of our sport, of our business, professional wrestling. That's my point, guys. That's the ultimate point coming from Booker T about CM Punk. All right? I like the guy. I just think he walked away from something that he could have been such a huge part of.
And I think it's unfair, some of the criticism that mainly you, but both of us have received when covering CM Punk, because we're treating him in the octagon and in UFC as an equal, right? We're not handling him with kid gloves.
I'm treating CM Punk like I don't know him.
Right.
Like he's
a fighter.
Like he's a fighter. Like, I mean, and I should cover it that way. I mean, I hear a lot of guys saying he had a lot of heart and this and that and whatnot. But those guys wasn't in CM Punk's place. everywhere CM Punk walked, he walked like a god. And the thing is, Tiger Woods at one point, everywhere he walked like a god until his situation happened. Two totally different situations, but a situation is what I'm talking about. CM Punk had the wrestling world in the palm of his hand, and he walked away from it to go to the UFC. I just think that was a bad decision. That's just me.
Yeah, and I agree. And once again, not that we need to defend or you need to defend any comments that you make, but, you know, you're covering a guy that you know, but you're doing objectively, and you're actually looking at the whole of the sport and not an isolated fight, right? You're not looking at this isolated experiment of CM Punk. You're looking at, hey, this guy named CM Punk fought this guy named Mike Jackson. This is what happened. He went out there and he got the brakes beat off him. That's a fact.
Yeah, it is a fact.
Someone tell me that's not a fact.
It is a fact.
That's exactly what happened. You were in Chicago in Money in the Bank, and you were talking about Ronda coming in from UFC to wrestling. So a logical comparative would be someone going from wrestling to UFC.
Well,
it was a fact.
I'm doing my job.
It was a fact.
The thing is, that's all I'm doing is doing my job. And the thing is, I would be, if I wasn't there to actually, create, talk, that's something that perhaps I wouldn't talk about. But I am trying to create talk. I am trying to create conversation. I am trying to keep our show entertaining. And my thing is, it's news. And if it was anybody else, if it was, Charlie Punk, if it was, I'm serious. I mean, if it was
whoever,
if it was anyone, I would have made that same comparison, because, like I say, I cannot think for one moment, that I could get up and, go and fight, Evander Holyfield. Evander Holyfield right now is, 50-something years old. I wouldn't wake up, in my 20s, saying, man, I want to fight Evander Holyfield, and he's in his 50s, because that would be an unfair advantage for Evander Holyfield. I've never had a fight. I'm fighting a guy who was a professional. I don't care if he's 50 years old. He still was a professional, and let's make this comparison right here. Randy Couture versus James Toney. If Randy Couture fought James Toney inside of a boxing ring, James Toney would knock him out 10 times out of 10 times, 20 times out of 20 times. Look at Floyd and Conor. And go and do some history on this stuff. And that's what I'm talking about, the fight game. I'm a true loyalist to the art of the pugilism. I'm a loyalist, you know what I mean? And when I see something like that happen, and like I say, sometimes, like in a fight, a fighter has to be saved from himself.
Yeah. And
I just think in this situation,
towel needs to be thrown in.
No, not the towel should be thrown in. I just think someone should have advised him going into this. Hey man, this is not a good idea. Fighting is something that's very, very serious. The true art of war. I go back to the Bruce Lee days, man, and the Chuck Norris. You know what I'm saying? Old school. That's old school, but it's real. You know what I mean? As far as the philosophy of what the fight game truly embodies. You know what I mean? And you don't wake up one day being the best fighter. Muhammad Ali didn't wake up the greatest of all time. He became the greatest of all time. He worked at his craft at becoming the greatest of all time. It didn't just happen overnight.
But he also worked at it from a young age and dedicated his entire life to it. Yeah. He didn't have another career prior to and then just decided to jump into boxing.
No,
right?
No,
this is what he worked for his entire life. You said just a second ago, CM Punk could have been an all-time great in professional wrestling because he had worked at it his entire life.
Yeah, he was on the independent scene. Everybody loved him
since '98 or whatever.
People still. Even now, his name rings. In arenas. So that's my point right there. I don't want to hear people talking about me throwing shade on CM Punk. Do people pay me to say stuff about? No, I don't.
I saw those comments.
That's not
ridiculous.
That's not it at all. Like I say, I just think the guy walked away from so much. He could have been so much. But then again, maybe he didn't want that. And that's just, that's just me saying that because it is what it is. You know what I mean? And that's another story. That's something that we could debate. That's something him and I could debate, because I love to talk to CM Punk and get his perspective on, what he was thinking about going into something like this, making this kind of move. Did he think? Sometimes I talk to my wrestlers all the time. I talk to my students and I say, you got to know how good you really are. You got to be able to look in the mirror, and know if you could stand next to, a John Cena, a Randy Orton, those big money players like Roman Reigns. I say you got to know if you could stand next to these guys, and maybe he actually thought that. You know what I mean? Maybe, doing a few jujitsu classes, and you take a few guys down and, one day I was in the wrestling school back when we were downtown and I ran the gauntlet. I may have choked out 5 guys in a row.
Yeah, and what it is, it's like a shoot night where y'all get in the ring and you go at it for real.
Yeah, and it was a shoot night. It was I still had my wings, you know what I mean? I still, wanted to show how tough I was to the guys. So I say, let me go out here and, see what these guys got, you know what I mean? So one after another, bing, give me another, you know what I mean? Bing, give me another, you know what I mean? Bing, give me another, bing, give me another, you know what I mean? Finally I got to the last guy, worked with him a little bit. He was a little tougher, but boom, got him in that anaconda choke, you know what I mean? Not anaconda choke.
Same about CM Punk still.
I'm thinking about CM Punk.
Anaconda Vice. So you got all fired up, and now you can't get them off your mind.
No, but it was an anaconda choke.
Okay.
But got him out of there. But you think I could do that to one of those guys in the UFC?
Absolutely not.
Block that. Next thing I'm on my back, tapping because my ankle is broken.
Well, we had talked about it too with the rumor. Even a guy who's the caliber of Mike Jackson, who we would say, and all due respect to him, is a lower caliber fighter. A guy who's only had 2 professional fights. But done boxing, kickboxing. But we talked about it last week when Daniel Bryan made that challenge of he wanted to fight him. It's just not a good idea.
It's not wise. And that's what I told Daniel. I say, Daniel, come on, man.
You talked to him at Money in the Bank.
I talked to Daniel about it. He said, he would be willing to do it. You know what I mean? Because that's the type of guy he is. He don't mind getting into a fight. Daniel Bryan's the type of guy who's actually rolled around and he loved the art of pugilism. I respect that, but I say, come on, man. Mike Jackson said it on the show, you got issues. I know exactly about his issues. And the world knows. Stick to your money maker, Total Bellas.
Oh, hey. Come on now.
I'm just playing.
I know it.
I'm just playing. I told him, stick to your money maker, man. Go out there and do your thing. And forget that, man. Forget all about that. Because that ain't happening, bro. So
this isn't the one.
No, I'm serious. Hopefully he listened to me, but he's just one of those type of guys, man, that just don't mind getting.
He seems like he likes a challenge.
He loves a challenge.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Coming off a broken neck and getting back into square circle, that 20 by 20. I respect him, man. I saw him do that drop kick again just last week. I don't like it. Hey guys, stick around. Heat the conversation. Back in a minute.